So wonderful to be here today. I just want to take a little bit of time and share with you the reason that I started the nonprofit Farming Hunger, and take you a little bit on the journey to why it started, how it started, and where it is today. A little bit of my background: I was a custom home builder. I also was in law enforcement. Anyone that knows anything about the real estate market, in 2008, it came to a screeching halt. I found myself in a place where the light switch went off, and there was no work. I got to the point where I had to lay off the last of my 14 employees. I went through a divorce. I was getting phone calls and talking with banking institutions where I owed millions of dollars. My oldest daughter, who was an honor roll student, started making choices that led her to becoming an addict. So I obviously was at a very sinking point, low point in my life. July 22nd, 2009, lowest point in my life. Picture represents a window in my family room where I was pacing back and forth contemplating suicide. I felt like there was no way out. I was a failure as a father. There was no way to leave anything to my children. No legacy, nothing. I remember just going back and forth and saying, this is how it's going to end? Is this what my life is culminated for? And I stood at that window and I just started talking to God. And I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, but I really don't want to die. Please use me however you see fit. However big or however small, both feet are in, and I'm here to do it. I will do whatever it takes. Well, the good Lord kept me in timeout for 3 years. Nothing happened immediately. And one day I found myself driving up the highway, and this overwhelming feeling came over me. And I made a U-turn, and I started driving to a friend's farm. Ironically, the farm's name is Serenity, and I pulled in. And when I got there, the farm was just as broken as I was. Looking back now, I know that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I picked up my cell phone and I called Dave and said, you're not going to believe this, I'm out front on your farm and we need to talk. 30 minutes later, we shared some ideas back and forth, and it's the spring of 2012, I launched Farming for Hunger. And we brought the community together, and we started growing potatoes for the hunger community, our first initiative. And we did that through reaching out to the community and asking volunteers to come out to the farm and help us to harvest the food. Which then all in itself turned into our second initiative, which is community building, which turned out to just be an outstanding thing. And to date, since the beginning of the nonprofit, over 20,000 volunteers have been to the farm from 11 states and 31 countries. But Monday through Friday, we didn't have the volunteer help that we needed. So we were fortunate enough to get a phone call from the Maryland Department of Corrections. And they said, hey, we have a pre-release facility about 10 minutes away, and we know that you're helping to grow food for the Maryland Food Bank, so we'd love to partner with you. Thus, the first 6 men from the Department of Corrections came to the farm. And I want to tell you, they were not excited at all. Ironically, 3 of the men in this picture were serving first or second degree murder charges that had been in for many, many years. There's a lot of labels and there's a lot of stereotypes to coming out into a farm. But I spent about the next 15 or 20 minutes with them on the porch, and I said, this is what we're doing. We're growing food for the hungry community. We're helping children. We're helping single moms. We're helping families, grandparents, and maybe in some of the cases, some of your own family members. You have a way that you can serve and give back. They postured up, took on the responsibility, and in 2013, they were part of planting, harvesting, and distributing 1.4 million pounds of food. Along the way, I realized it's not just about labor here. I got to know the men. I got to understand a little bit of their backstory, and relationships started to form. At that point, I really realized that hunger comes in many different forms. It's just not physical. And understanding that allowed us to kind of look a little bit deeper into second chance opportunities. That's our third initiative, second chances. Not only do we work with the men from the Maryland Department of Correction, now we have a relationship with the local drug courts, and individuals that are doing the 18-month program have to come over and serve community service hours, working side by side with the men from the Department of Corrections. This is what your next step looks like if you continue down this path. So in 2014, things took a major curve. I got a phone call from the local sheriff, and he said, your daughter's been incarcerated. We've just arrested her. During that same year, I got a phone call from our farmer right there at Serenity, and he said, I've lost my daughter. So in 2014, my daughter was incarcerated. In 2014, Dave lost his daughter to an overdose right there on the farm. Now, Hollywood can't write a script what happened next. So after my daughter was released, we were working one day on the farm, and a new group of men had come out, and they'd been there for about 2 or 3 months. And it revealed itself one day that working on the farm with me, side by side, was my daughter's heroin dealer. What are the odds of that out of thousands and thousands of individuals that are incarcerated in the state of Maryland? So we needed to do something. We weren't sure what it was, but I just felt something again internally that we must do more. We started a Tri-County Memory Walk 5 years ago where we honor those loved ones that we lost. We plant hope and awareness. It's an opportunity for those to come out and as a community and walk and honor the loved ones that we lost. During the walk several years ago, my grandson in the red shirt was walking with his best friend, little Timmy. Little Timmy's dad had died about 6 or 7 months prior to the picture. I knew something had to change, something had to happen. Again, our fourth and final initiative, youth outreach. How do we introduce children to agriculture and healthy decisions and healthy choices? So we started a Growing Food Matters initiative. And with this initiative, we're able to plant a seed in children, starting at the elementary school level, right in all the local elementary schools, about healthy eating and healthy choices. It's about setting the mindset for the children, not changing the mindset later in years when they're in high school. It's been really successful. To date, we're in 5 counties, and we've just been invited to start expanding over onto the Eastern Shore. The kids get to raise food in these growing towers, they get to harvest the food, and they get to sample the food. It gets the children extremely excited, but more importantly, it allows us to start to build relationships with these children for events that will happen later down the road. We've started something that's pretty unique. I don't know of another organization in the country that's doing this. And it's team building with ex-inmates and current inmates, with students. Now, it took 3 years to get this approved because everyone thought I was crazy. But what better way than to use an asset of somebody that's already had consequences to choices that they've made? What better way to open up dialogue and discussion about social and emotional challenges that our kids are faced with today? It has been so impactful that we have been asked to demonstrate this for groups all over the state and other school organizations. So much so that we now take the local law enforcement officers and put them in team building exercises with the inmates and start to form a bond where the labels disappear and the relationships form. I can tell you when they first show up at the farm, they don't want to be there. I'm talking about the law enforcement officers. By the time it ends, the inmates and the law enforcement officers are embracing and hugging. That's how much they come together. The labels disappear, and I now recognize you as a man on both sides of the spectrum. Where are we headed now? Starting yesterday, we started a project called Grow Iverson. We're stepping off the farm. I can't take the farm into the city. We're starting urban gardens at our first location at Iverson Mall. And it's a place, it's a platform that's the same 4 initiatives that we're doing at our location in Serenity can now go towards the inner city and bring hope and awareness to those areas and build community while raising food. We're going to continue to go into areas where there's brokenness and hopefully be able to turn it into a blessing. And along the way, we're going to follow the signs that are leading us to those locations. Wouldn't it be wonderful to stand side by side and continue to plant seeds from community to community and continue to plant this in other areas? We will continue growing beyond the fields. I will say this, that every morning I get up and I get a cup of coffee. I walk to the same window where I was contemplating suicide. I walk to the same window every morning where I just started talking to God. I did that this morning before I came over here. And I always ask every day if there's just one person that I can make an impact in. There's just one person that I can make a difference in their life. To give a little faith, to give a little hope, to show a little bit of love. And there may be somebody today sitting in this crowd that is in that position. And I'm here today to say that I hope you are fed and you can do it. Thank you very much.